Hi guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I am catching you guys up on all of the shows that I have been watching. Well, some of the shows that I've been watching that I've really been enjoying. So if you need show recommendations, stick around. You might have some things on your list that you've been meaning to check out. So I'm gonna let you know whether or not it's worth it. The first one that I'm so excited, so pleasantly surprised to share with y'all is the live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender. That is my favorite cartoon series of all time. It's a really beautiful story, and I rewatch the cartoon a couple times a year just because I enjoy the storytelling. And I can't remember when I first watched it, but it was one of the first places that I saw meditation and chakras and spirituality and different elements really explained in a way that was digestible and not aggressively woo woo. So it starts out that there are four elements in the world. There's fire, water, air, and earth. And each element has its own kingdom. Now, for years, centuries even, those kingdoms coexisted. But all of a sudden, the Fire Nation decided that they should be the head bitches in charge. So they started war against all the other kingdoms. Now, every couple hundred years or so, an avatar exists or comes about that masters all four of the elements, and their purpose is to balance, to keep peace throughout all of the kingdoms. But when the Fire Lord decided that he should be the main bitch over the girls, he wanted to be in charge of the girls, the avatar, who was just a 12-year-old boy, disappeared, okay? Aang felt like this is too much for me. I can't handle it. So 100 years after this war has been waged, he reemerges from an iceberg, and these two kids from the Water Nation discover him, and they decide that they are going to embark on a journey for Aang to learn how to master all four elements and save the world. And hijinks ensue. It's really, the animation is gorgeous, the storytelling is gorgeous, the voice actors do a bang up job. Everything about it is so good. It's such a rich, full story. And I was really hesitant to watch another live action attempt because the first one years ago by M. Night Shyamalan was an absolute disaster. None of us have recovered. So we all approached this with caution, and some people refuse to watch it at all. I'm not a live action girl. I didn't watch live action Aladdin or Lion King or Little Mermaid. I just don't think everything needs to be live action. But this, they did such an amazing job bringing this story to life. And it's not a shot for shot retelling, but it was a really beautiful way to go back into this world that I'm a huge fan of. And I hope they get a season 2 because I'm so pleasantly surprised with what they were able to do with this series, to the point that I'm looking at M. Night Shyamalan like, baby, did you even pinch the bitch in terms of trying? I feel like you didn't even try. So moving right along, another reboot. I know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Amazon Prime. I was very cautious about this because we all know that Donald Glover, fellow ATLian, he can be a bit grating, okay? And we've all heard stories, it's fine, but we rooting for everybody Black, and especially for people who are from my hometown. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the movie, you know, it's about two spies who fell in love and had a marriage, and then they, you know, fought each other. It was hot. It was the beginning of Brangelina ending, and, you know, it was the whole thing. It was like a whole cultural thing, blah, 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 blah. I just didn't know how they were going to do this. Like, what is this going to be? This was a dark comedy retelling or reimagining of how Mr. and Mrs. Smith met and how they work together and how they decide to have an actual marriage as opposed to a cover marriage so that they can act out these high risk spy adventures. The guest stars were really surprising. Michaela Cole, I was not expecting to see her, but I was absolutely thrilled. And what I think that's so stunning, one thing that I do love about this, before I go any further, Donald Glover looks good in this series. And his character is a bit of a fashion bitch, and I love that. They have one episode that takes place in Italy, and like the cinematography, my God, it gorgeous, gorgeous show. Amazon gave them folks the budget, okay? The girls had a budget and they used it, and I loved it. They also filmed a scene or two in my neighborhood. Anyway, I really appreciate that this was an in-depth look at marriage. Obviously, to a very heightened, extreme kind of thing, but the way people have internal forces against their marriage, like with each other, and the way that the external, like, world contributes to that. Fascinating study on marriage and partnership. I really hope that they get a season 2. I was so pleasantly surprised. I thought that the chemistry between Maya Erskine and Donald Glover was really good, to the point where I wonder if their spouses have questions, because we saw what happened with Brad and Angelina Jolie. Okay, do we need to have a separate conversation, right? So speaking of Donald Glover, I first came to know about Donald Glover as a comedian. Back when Pandora was more of a thing, I would listen to the Pandora comedy stations, and so I would hear some of his comedy tracks, right? And then I came to learn that he was a writer on 30 Rock. And then I watched Community. So when Atlanta came out, I had so many reasons to be excited about that show. I loved season 1 of Atlanta. The rest of the seasons got a bit avant-garde for me, and it was just like, I'm here, but I'm feeling like it is a task to complete this show. It got a bit cerebral for me, where the first season was just an easier watch, and sometimes you're not in the mood to watch something so heady. But I said that to say the Vince Staples show on Netflix gave me season 1 Atlanta, and that's because Vince Staples, who is a rapper, who has ventured into acting. I absolutely loved him on Abbott. Was that season 1 or season 2 of Abbott? I thought he did such a great job. And I think that his real life persona is so entertaining. He has this deadpan kind of comedy and this way of he can connect dots really well. I'll just say that. I love watching his interviews. So his show is a little bit day in the life, a little bit surreal. He's from Long Beach, and I just love to see Black people from Black places create content that's reflective of their experiences. I highly recommend watching some of his interviews about this show and how he created it. It's only 5 episodes. I hate that it's only 5 episodes, but I'm happy that he got those 5 episodes. I really think this show would actually do well on FX, but it's on Netflix for now, so go check that out. And we need to pressure Netflix to give us a season 2 and at least 10 episodes. I really want streaming services to stop just giving us these limited amounts of episodes. People want a show they can sink their teeth into. Like, are the numbers not showing you, people? I just get me in somebody's office. Like, whose lap do you have to sit on to get a full season, like a full, like, 20 some episodes? You know, anyway, moving right along. True Detective on HBO. This current season, I was shook. I was absolutely shook. I couldn't watch it at home alone. I had to watch it in the daytime. Literally, I downloaded it to watch it on the subway when I was around other people. It was spooky as shit. And the whole time I was watching it, you're watching it wondering, is there something supernatural happening, or is there a logical explanation? So it takes place in Alaska. There is an ongoing battle between the native community there and this industry that's polluting their water, and it's affecting the women's fertility and their ability to thrive in their native land, which is something that more people should be talking about across America, of course. And there is this incident at a science lab where the scientists wound up, I don't want to spoil it for you, but they wind up dead in a really weird way and pulling apart what actually transpired literally up until almost the last minute of the final episode. You're like, bitch, what? But it was so redemptive. I love a good revenge story. And I love the way it unfolded. I don't want to give anything away. I kept thinking that Jodie Foster and the other female lead had a relationship. I was like, are they gonna kiss? Like, the whole time. But it was really good, and I feel like so much of it was there were women in the room when this was written, right? Which is why a lot of people didn't enjoy this last season, because the first seasons of True Detective are so masculine. Like, they're so strong men, and men are such tortured souls, and they try to do the right thing. Sometimes doing the right thing means doing the wrong thing. That's not really what's happening in this season. So of course people are outraged when women start telling their stories, because women should just be barefoot pregnant and in the kitchen and just shut your mouth because you don't have anything valuable to add to society. Fuck off. I loved this season. It is spooky as shit. Fiona Shaw is in it. Let me tell you something. Fiona Shaw can play me in a movie, okay? That woman, she gives. She gives so much. I absolutely love Fiona Shaw, and her role isn't even that big, but it's so significant. And I was just like, that woman is living the life that she wants to live. Like, that character, love. So definitely check out True Detective. If you've never seen the previous seasons, I highly recommend. It's an anthology, so you can watch season 4 completely independent of the previous seasons. Season 1, I really enjoyed. Matthew McConaughey, this is peak Matthew McConaughey, to where you're like, I don't know if he acting. Is he acting right now? Does somebody need to go by his house and see if it's everything okay in the home? Like, he is giving a performance, okay? Season 2. I wish I hadn't gone into season 2 knowing that people were so unhappy with it, because maybe I would have been able to enjoy it, right? It was a really good cast. I wanted to like it, but it just didn't quite curl over for me. Season 3, featuring Mahershala Ali, baby, let me tell you, that man, that is a beautiful Black man. That is a beautiful, talented Black man. So I do recommend going back and watching the previous seasons, but I did warn you about season 2. If you liked season 2 of True Detective, please slide in the comments and let me know. I really wanted to, because I enjoy Vince Vaughn, and I wanted to see him do really well in this more dramatic role. And it's not that the performances weren't good. Something just didn't quite curl over. Slide in the comments and let me know if you had a similar thought. Okay, lastly, let me tell y'all what show has me by the absolute balls, all right, by the bullocks. Shogun on FX/Hulu. I'm tuned in. It's giving Game of Thrones level intrigue. So it's set in Japan in the year 1600. Lord Yoshi Toranaga is fighting for his life because his fellow council members, there's a council of regents, they have united against him. And there's all these different factions taking place where they've kind of been infiltrated by Christians. And during that time, there were Protestants and there were Catholics. So it's like the white people were debating over who was the right kind of white. And then some of them, the Portuguese, discovered that they could really get into this country and divide it up for themselves, as if they could, because you know how those kinds of people are, the whole concept of the world belongs to you and you can carve it up however you want to. And the Japanese are like, what are y'all even talking about? We got our own shit going on over here. But the Portuguese and these other European countries are like, if we provide them with weapons, maybe we can come in and take over. We can cozy up to whoever the leaders are and we can come in and take over. It is fascinating. And then this other ship were they from Ireland? Anyway, winds up marooned, and it contains like all these weapons, and the captain of the ship gets captured, and there's like a battle to get him, and it's so fascinating. What I'm really enjoying about it is, number one, I'm happy to see more Asian-led casts. I also enjoy that it's not all English. A lot of it is subtitled, which I feel like is more authentic, because like everybody doesn't speak English, and like we need to understand that. English doesn't rule the world, neither does America. And what I appreciate is that to all men, any man who does not live like them is a savage. So they think that the Japanese are savages because of their practices, and the Japanese are looking at these white men like, y'all are disgusting and ugly. Y'all are savages. And it's like anything that's foreign to you is savagery. And I think there's something to be learned from that, but this is giving Game of Thrones level intrigue, especially when you consider the number of characters and the number of like sub games that are at play, like ritualistic killing and stuff like that. This shit is so good. I cannot wait for this week's episode. Like, this is appointment TV. I am tuned in, all right? So that's what I'm watching right now. Oh, I also want to put Blue Eye Samurai on your list because this is another example of the Japanese just minding their business and white people coming in and providing weapons to make them fight. And I really just appreciate people showing the dangers of colonialism and imperialism. I absolutely love it. But Blue Eye Samurai is a cartoon on Netflix. The storytelling is immaculate. Okay, the voice acting, impeccable. The animation, the fight scene, check out Blue Eye Samurai. You will not be disappointed. So that's what I'm watching right now. I'll be back. I know I have to finish my reviews of Rap Shit. I promise I will do that. Even though the show got canceled, we still want to finish it out because they deserve that. So I will be back to give you guys that. And thank you for tuning in. If you have checked out any of the shows that I mentioned, slide in the comments, let me know what you think. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. We over here talking about stuff, and join our Patreon. Talk soon. Bye.